AEW starts off with Jon Moxley. He ended up having a match against Mark Davis. I think it was a eliminator match. He ended up winning, of course. The main focus really was just after the match where he ended up having a segment with the Death Riders where he ends up talking about Takeshita, continuing their little feud, their issues. And he basically ended up saying that at Revolution, it's going to be a one-on-one match. He demands a one-on-one match with no time limit this time due to at Australia Grand Slam, they end up coming to a time limit last time, so now this time he wants no time limit for the Continental Championship. I like the potential of Konosuke winning here. I'm hoping that is the case here because I don't see the reason to have Jon Moxley continue to hold that belt, especially because they've been teasing this Konosuke and Okada stuff for a while now. It's losing a lot of steam. It's not really going anywhere. It's just kind of running in circles. And I'm assuming maybe they could potentially merge the titles again, because they could potentially merge the international title with the continental title once again when them two feud again. I'm assuming that's the only way they're going, because I don't know what you do with Konosuke after this feud. I really think Konosuke needs the victory more, in my opinion. I do like there's no time limit, but you also have the fact that Okada and Konosuke still not seeing eye to eye, so I could potentially see Okada costing him the match. I really wouldn't like that personally. I would just prefer Konosuke wins. Then you could have them feud, Okada and Konosuke finally get that feud going, and then eventually have them merge the titles once again. Because it was already stupid that it's already dumb that they already de-unified the titles in the first place, which was ridiculous. That I don't know why they ununified the titles, but now you can reunify the titles once again because AEW has too many titles. We do not need a TNT championship, a national championship, international championship, continental championship. Like, we do not need 4 mid-card belts. That's a big ridiculous. Like, really don't. We really only need 2 or really 1, but it's a bit ridiculous. We do not need all those belts, especially because 2 of them do the same thing. The national championship and the international championship do the same thing. It was meant for the same purpose, but they end up making another championship for whatever reason. But hopefully Konosuke wins. It's very rare that I'm high on a wrestler like Konosuke because typically I'm more of a storytelling guy. But Konosuke is one of the rare people that I actually like who isn't the biggest storyteller or biggest mic worker or whatever. It's in this situation, he is one of those rare cases. Now, mainly due to Don Callis. If he wasn't with Don Callis, I wouldn't like him as much, but Don Callis helps with a lot of that. So it makes Konosuke a lot more likable as a heel, personally, for me. So very interested to see how he will be as a babyface without Don Callis, because they're clearly teasing that. It's just eventually when that's eventually going to happen. But nonetheless, I am excited for that match at Revolution, so I'm very interested to see how that plays out. Afterwards, we do end up getting an FTR promo. They basically address Young Bucks, stress them being #1 contenders, them winning the 3-way tag team match to become #1 contenders for the AEW tag team titles. They go on a rant, basically insult the crowd a bit. Then they just talk about the Young Bucks, and then the Young Bucks ends up getting in the ring, super kicking FTR. Then they eventually super kick Stokely, and then they hold up those tag team titles and demand their title shot at Revolution. Okay, that's really it. I don't really care for this, mainly because I just don't want to see this match personally. I'm not really that high on FTR right now, even though I love FTR, but their heel work for me hasn't been hitting, especially after the whole Cope and Christian stuff. It's really gone downhill for me personally. I don't even know where they're at. So, yeah, ever since the Cope and Christian storyline kind of stopped, I'm just not, FTR just hasn't been it for me. The Young Bucks are cool. I like them. I think they're better as heels, in my opinion, but I understand why they turned them face. But for me, again, I do not want to see another FTR and Young Bucks match. This is like the 5th match that they have had. We're just kind of running in circles here for the most part. So I guess I would have liked to see a new tag team in the picture. That's just me, but the match will be good. I think the match will be good. They put on good matches. Is that we've seen this match over and over again, and I don't know what else you can do from a storyline perspective that would make it that much more interesting, in my opinion. But nonetheless, I'm assuming the Young Bucks will probably dethrone FTR because I don't see a reason why FTR should hold these titles anymore. Because if we're not going to get the Cope and Christian storyline, which it seems like we're never going to get because we don't know what's going on with Cope and Christian. I think one of them is filming a movie or something, or a TV show or something. But nonetheless, if we're not going to get that storyline, which at this point we really shouldn't, if I'm being honest, just put the titles on the Young Bucks, if I'm being honest. Just put the titles on them. I'm way more interested in what the Young Bucks are doing than FTR. So put the titles on them, see what they could do. But nonetheless, I don't really care for it as much, but it is a safe option. So I don't really like it, to be honest. I don't hate it, but I don't really like it because it's just a very repetitive thing we have seen for years. So I'm just really not trying to see another Young Bucks match, but it is what it is. Now we get to MJF and Hangman Adam Page. They end up cutting a promo. Hangman Adam Page is the #1 contender for the AEW World Championship. MJF starts off, he basically ends up talking about his hatred for Hangman, talk about how he hates everything about him, the way he walks, the way he talks, the way that the fans constantly cheer him, the way that the fans constantly stay behind him, and that he deserves the things that he deserves the praise of the fans that Hangman gets. Then he starts saying that Hangman is basically a choke artist, that he failed multiple times with the AEW World Championship, he failed to be the guy. And then he ends up saying that Hangman is he's very lucky. He gets very lucky. He gets a lucky shot that he beat him twice and that it won't happen again, that his luck is eventually going to run out. Then you get Hangman, he responds back. He ends up basically mentioning luck, and ends up mentioning that how it was lucky for MJF to end up getting an AEW contract. The contract that he used to cash in. I forgot what they called it, but used the contract to cash in, then eventually ended up cheating in the match to eventually win the AEW World Championship by kicking Hangman in the nuts, doing a low blow. Ends up mentioning how that was a lucky shot. Then he ends up going on and on, playing a bit of mind games, saying that MJF can't beat him and that he knows that he's better, and that he says that he finally wants to put this to an end, wants to end the rivalry, and that he wants a stipulation on the match. MJF refuses to do a stipulation. Then you get Hangman responds back. He ends up trying to play more mind games, try to say that he's scared, that he's afraid, he knows that he can't beat him. And then he ends up saying that he wants he ends up saying he wants a Texas death match, and ends up saying that if he loses the match, he can never challenge for the AEW World Championship ever again, which is a very interesting stipulation, because typically they do, I would never challenge the champion as long as the person is champion, but they end up saying ever, which is very interesting because this is already something that they already done with Cody Rhodes. So I'm a bit confused on why they would do this now, because Tony Khan should already have learned his lesson with Cody Rhodes on why this does not work. When you have a star as big as Hangman, people want him in the main event scene. You kind of need him in the main event scene eventually. So having him all of a sudden be in this match with the stipulation doesn't make sense unless he's going to win, which I don't think he is winning, because that would just be dumb. MJF is on a great run. He needs to keep the title for a while, especially until Ospreay comes back, because I think that's the person that should be dethroning MJF. So I don't understand this stipulation, because this does not work. It doesn't work, because if you're a babyface, especially a love babyface who wins matches consistently, it just makes everything you do meaningless, because you can't challenge for the world title. So that makes you a forever mid-carder, so you're stuck. And then, like, that just doesn't make sense. The only way this makes sense is if he's a heel. Heels, it makes more sense to do this with, because we're supposed to boo the heel. We're supposed to not want you to win. So you winning matches but not being a world champion, that works because we're supposed to boo you. We don't want you to be world champion. But he's a face here, so I don't understand. The only thing I could see here possibly is that this match ends in a no contest. Now, it's a Texas death match if MJF accepts, because he didn't accept it yet. So he wanted a week to, to think things through, but he's going to accept it. The only way I can see this through is that both guys just can't get up in a count to 10, and that's it. So therefore, MJF keeps the title and Hangman could challenge because he technically didn't lose. Or maybe they could do a thing where Swerve and Hangman come together and become heels due to Swerve turning heel on Kenny later in the show. I could see that potentially. Or maybe it could be a scenario where Kenny Omega returns. He's feuding with Swerve. Hangman is feuding with Swerve due to Hangman being a babyface still. Then Kenny Omega uses EVP ship potentially to lift the... There's ways they can go about this. I just am very confused because this didn't work well with Cody. It didn't work well with Cody. Don't know why they think it will work well with Hangman. I'm assuming there has to be some type of loophole here where he's going to eventually be able to challenge for the World Championship. But I don't really like the stipulation. I don't like it at all because it puts you in a corner, and it's just not a good thing to do with your baby faces. It's just not. It just limits what you could do, and it just limits the world title scene. But we'll see how this plays out. The promo itself was a really good promo, really invested. The main event scene in AEW has been really great, really been enjoying it. So interested to see how this plays out at Revolution. The match should be an absolute banger, but I'm very confused on the stipulation. Now we get the main event, Swerve Strickland versus Kenny Omega. This was a banger match. This was a great match. We ended up getting some shenanigans. We ended up getting a moment where there was a ref bump, Swerve pull Aubrey Edwards to avoid the knee from Kenny Omega. We end up getting another moment where Swerve ended up doing the swing where he lifts someone, when they lift someone up to hit like an object. Swerve ended up hitting like the metal like wire that's connected to the turnbuckle to swing Kenny Omega's throat into it, which I thought was also sick. Swerve was definitely playing a heel role in the match. Swerve does pick up the victory, which I thought was the good choice. After the match, though, you end up getting Swerve attacking Kenny Omega. He attacks him, puts him through a table, and then he ends up saying that he did it for him. Now, I could see this being a heel turn, but I could also see this not being a heel turn. I could see this being like a kind of like a Kevin Owens situation where in his mind he's a babyface because he's technically right. I could definitely see that because last week on Dynamite, Kenny ended up mentioning how Swerve isn't the most dangerous man in AEW, and he basically questioned Swerve about that title. So I could see Swerve basically using that as a crutch to be like, that's his reason where he wanted to prove a point to Kenny Omega, that he wanted to prove that he still is the dangerous man in AEW, so he wanted to prove a point to Kenny. So I could definitely see that being the case here. But I'm assuming this is eventually going to lead down a heel turn, which I do think is a correct choice because Swerve is best as a heel. Plus, MJF is going to need more opponents to face down the road. Well, not down the road, but I think eventually when MJF is eventually done, I'm assuming Ospreay is going to be the one to take the title. I could definitely see a world where Ospreay and Swerve become a match later down the road. You could eventually run Hangman and Swerve again because we haven't seen them face each other in a while. They have interacted with each other, of course. They've been kind of in this tandem where they're kind of like not friends, but they're not enemies. They're just more neutral with each other. So I could definitely see them revisiting that feud because it's been about, I want to say about at least 2 years, it's been at least 2 years, bare minimum, maybe a year and a half, because I don't know, because I can't remember, they feuded probably slightly in 2024, but for the most part, it's been a while since they actually like feuded with each other. So you could potentially revisit that well too. Eventually Kenny Omega returns because Kenny Omega, I think they wrote him out because he is doing some stuff in March. So they wrote him out. Makes perfect sense. You have Swerve going a heel run, which I think is a great idea. So I'm very interested how this plays out because heel Swerve is my favorite Swerve. It's the Swerve that I fell in love with. So interested to see how this plays out. Overall show was a good show. It was a really good show. Really enjoyed it. It feels very weird making a Dynamite vid because I haven't made a Dynamite vid in like months because I just thought the show was so bad and it was just affecting mentally of me constantly talking about AEW for the longest time, so I just had to stop making it. But AEW in 2026 has been a bit better. It has been better. They're putting on decent shows. They have fixed some of the issues that I had a problem with, so very interested how to continue this. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell so don't miss any of my content. Let me down below in the comment section what you guys thought of this overall show of Dynamite. But yeah, that's it.